What do you think about this upcoming matchup versus the Broncos?
I don't know. No. Well, I mean, the obvious answer is we'll see. Um, I I think I like the Raiders, but the wild card here is Sean Payton. You know, um, I feel like last year the Broncos defense didn't play up to the hype and expectation that people have for them. At least not against the Raiders, because the 8+ game win streak against the Broncos is ongoing. Josh Jacobs always has good games against them, and Devontae Adams was tearing up many people's number one corner, Patrick Surtain. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I have 5 points really for this game. My first point, I mean, not points, but really like kind of questions. How will Sean Payton and Russell Wilson perform? How will Sean Payton have changed this team? Will it be so much for the better that they're going to kick our ass? Or are they still the same old Broncos because of Russell Wilson? I don't know. We'll see. They also have, this is my next point. They have a lot of injuries right now. Um, I haven't heard anything about Mike McGlinchey, but I'm curious if he's going to play. I remember a couple weeks ago he got injured, and they were saying it could be a 4-week thing. He might miss week 1.
You
We'll
better
see.
hope Mike McGlinchey plays, dude. Max Crosby will tear that ass apart.
Yeah, but I mean, theoretically, their backup's worse, right? I'd rather play. I'd rather
but
just have Max Crosby tear up McGlinchey, but we'll see. But that's one. I mean, Jerry Judy's another guy who might not make it. And I feel like there's at least 2 other guys, not prominent players, but guys that might not make week 1. So the Broncos don't seem to be at full health right now, whereas the Raiders, I want to say they are. Besides maybe Brandon Faison, I don't know. So the Broncos' health will be interesting. I mean, really for both teams, the health will be interesting. Next point, can the Raiders' defense show improvement? Can it show promise? Can it go out there and perform and really stop, and maybe even at times be dominant, you know? Um, I I mean, last season with Russell Wilson and the head coach whose name I'm forgetting, it was abysmal. So
Nathaniel Hackett.
thank you. Yeah. So was that because of that, or can this defense show major improvement and really keep that going? You know. Next point, the offense. How efficient and how good will the offense be against this Denver defense? And will any of the new additions to this team, like Michael Mayer, make a big difference? And I guess, will Josh McDaniels have a few new cards up his sleeve as far as play calling and whatnot? I'm really curious about that, because there's we keep saying the word now, but there's a stigma against Josh McDaniels that his offense is pretty simple, at least for defenses to like face up against. But I don't know. I mean, the things that I hear, not like I'm plugged in or anything, but just from what I see and whatnot, it doesn't sound like it's all that simple. So I'd like to see him throw out some real, special plays out there, like throw out some pizzazz.
I don't know if I would call it simple. I might maybe people the word they're looking for is a little stale. I mean, the dude
Or
did
old
win
fashioned.
6. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Yeah, old fashioned might be better. Like if you got the blueprint, the recipe for success, like why change it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's football. You're playing the same sport. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You just have to use, what works and
Exactly.
what works for the personnel that you have. But you know,
Yes.
Josh McDaniels has been a play caller on 6 Super Bowl teams. So theoretically, you have the right guys. You probably have. I mean, I can't think of many other people that you would want calling plays.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Um, and when you have Devontae Adams at wide receiver and Josh Jacobs, the defending rushing champion at running back, and an offensive line that gradually got better and better last season, and now, I mean, this would be the last point is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? How does he perform?
Mm-hmm.
So that's as far as offense, that's what I'm really curious about. And then,
Mm-hmm. So Ruben seems to think that Jimmy G always loses to Wilson. I will throw it back to week 16 against or it might have been week 17. Week 17 against the Seahawks in 2019. I mean, Jimmy won that game. I mean, it took a little inch to get was it Jake Hollister? Jake Hollister from getting in the end zone, but
oh, I know a game. Yeah, week
yeah.
9. That was the
No, that was
undefeated. Oh, that was at the
no.
end. That was to make. Yeah, that was to win the
Yeah.
division, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was to win the
Okay.
division.
Sorry. Yeah, that's right. But that was the same season of what I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 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 I mean, as far as that comment goes, I mean, uh, if Jimmy G, well, if the Raiders lose to the Broncos, I doubt that I'm just going to be blaming Jimmy G. Maybe Russell Wilson has one of the games of his life and just tears our defense up, and I'm going to have major concern with the defense. But, I doubt that week 1 is going to tell me blame Jimmy G. And then as far as like always losing to him, it's a team game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I will say Russell Wilson always beats the 49ers. And I know that I just threw out an instance where the Niners beat Russell Wilson,
But that's
but
what it feels like.
it's definitely I mean, it's not just what it feels like it's the fucking fact. Like we beat them like once in like the past I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
Like the
I
past 10 years.
Yeah, there are certain, tendencies that happen that are just like, wow, like sort of a just so happened to happen sort of stat. Like right now, the Raiders, as long as they've been in Vegas, they have never lost to the Broncos.
Mm.
Also, in all of Ben Roethlisberger's career, he never beat the Raiders in Oakland, and he played them like at least 3 times in Oakland. And I mean that's dating back to like 2006 when the Raiders were absolute dog shit. So sometimes those sort of things happen. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, some guys just have ownage over other franchises. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers and the Bears. I still own you.
Well, okay, so I mean, just to end it on this comment, and also just to end it for this point, because I'm pretty much done with what I have to say about the game. Well, I'll give my pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are 2 tendencies that are clashing. Then there's Jimmy G always loses to Russell Wilson, and there is Russell Wilson on the Broncos always loses to the Raiders. Which one's going to break, right?
Yeah. So before we give our predictions, Jerome Clemens says it's donkey ass whooping time. That's what I see. I wasn't impressed from what I saw from Russ so far, and it is year 1 in a new system.
Yeah, it is donkey ass whooping time. Let's fucking go.
Which brings us to our predictions. So, Mike, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first, and then you give your prediction?
You go first.
Honestly, I think the Raiders are going to come out hot, and I think they're going to beat the shit out of the Broncos. I honestly believe that Sean Payton is like miserable over there in Denver because I don't know if you saw the quote. He's like, "Quit fucking kissing babies. You're not running for office." To Russell Wilson.
It was a great quote. It was, yeah.
And then also too, like all his receivers are getting hurt, and his number 1 running back is coming off of a torn ACL, like a pretty bad, nasty knee surgery. And then Sean Payton's over here like talking about how he's never seen a team that was so poorly coached and whatnot. Almost seems like he's making excuses for why they won't be good this upcoming season. So I don't know. Like,
Well,
I don't think the Broncos will be tanking, but I think they'll be better than
no.
last season. But I
Yeah.
honestly, the way the Raiders played in the preseason, I think the Raiders will whoop that donkey ass, as Jerome would say.
Yeah, I'll say, just to kind of comment on that one part about him saying that, um, the poor coaching from last season. That isn't that I take it the opposite way. It's not that he's making an excuse for how bad they might be this year. It's actually maybe him trying to put confidence in his players this year that they're not that same team.
That
And
they're in
my
good
coaching,
hands.
yeah, my coaching is going to change that. It's a little pat
Yeah.
on his own back, and also like, hey, my players, we can win.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, I believe that. Like, on paper, their team is good. Uh, Again, I don't think they're fully healthy right now. And I think their defense is slightly overrated. But yeah, we'll see. As far as my prediction, I think we win. I think we go in there. I think it's a closer game than I want it to be, but I think we come out with the win. So
The way I see it, I think I just see the Broncos maybe starting off a little slow and maybe struggling, and it might be one of those days for them. Then again, I mean, it's not a primetime game, right? Because I could definitely see that if it were a primetime game. Like, do you remember the opening game for the Raiders? It was like Monday Night Football. I came over to your house for, and like the Raiders just like fucking, they steamrolled.
that was Josh Jacobs' debut. Yeah.
Was Joe Flacco the quarterback? Who was the quarterback?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely
Was he?
wasn't
He was a
Russell
Bronco,
Wilson.
right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So
Unless it was
I could see
like,
that if it was a primetime game.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter who the quarterback was. I'm just trying to like pinpoint.
yeah, it
But
could have been Drew Lock or Paxton Lynch. I don't remember.
yeah, I forget. But the I don't know. Since it might be, what is it, a morning game?
It's a 1 p.m. game. It's
1
afternoon.
p.m. Yeah, okay. So it could be one of those games that maybe is back and forth and the Raiders pull one out. I feel like on prime time, though, there's like, I watch too many games where like one team just shits the bed and like the other team is just like sort of controlling the game. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Like, I'm not a fortune teller, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders win.
Yeah. All I got to say is just win, baby.